What's a few cracks between friends? It's almost 50 years old.
This can't just be a fancy house.
I'm gonna go out a little and agree with you there. The village is practically drowning in a sea of black orbs after all. Well, in that way, the rumour Joe used to conduct experiments here.
Doubt it's just a rumor. This is Clubhouse.
Oh, I think it's much more dangerous than that. But no bother, I'll protect you.
Hojo.
I don't know what it is you hope to find here, but I'm afraid this facility has been abandoned for some time. Everything of value is gone, but please feel free to poke around.
It's not him, just an AI caretaker.
That said, this facility has always been a place in my heart. I insist that you leave it in the condition in which you found it. With that in mind, I won't keep you any longer. Thanks for dropping in.
That was a sword. Don't walk into the light, Barret!
Where the actual fuck is Percy?
No! 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 Am I tripping, or is that platypus dancing with a hat on?
Looks like a regular platypus to me.
Must be the drink.
I think we're
What's
trapped
good, my
here.
nigga?
Sorry I'm late. I had to run some errands. I'm Frisa's older brother.
I'm basically saying I'm cooler.
You're good. Is that Piccolo?
Where the actual fuck is Percy?
Go! 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 Am I tripping, or is that platypus dancing with a hat on?
Looks like a regular platypus to me.
Must be the drink.
What's good, my nigga? Sorry I'm late. I had to run some errands.
I'm Frisa's older brother.
I'm basically saying I'm cooler.
Around here chilling, huh? You're good. Is that Piccolo?
Hey! I let you.
No! 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 Am I tripping, or is that platypus dancing with a hat on?
Looks like a regular platypus to me.
Must be the drink.
What's good, my nigga? Sorry I'm late. I had to run some errands.
I'm Frisa's older brother.
I'm basically saying I'm cooler.
Is that Piccolo?
Hey!
focus on my studies. What did you slap me for? That hurts you. You're not studying. You're trying to. That's fine. I want to study, and Mom wants me to study as well. About what a woman got married or something. Dad, I decided that I'm going to focus on my studies. What did you slap me for? The fact that hurts you is reason enough. You're not studying. You're trying to. That's fine. I want to study, and Mom wants me to study as well. About what a woman got married or something. Dad, I decided that I'm going to focus on my studies.
You're in safe paws now.
Decided to make a fan game that was better in every single fucking way and released for free like 2 years.
If you're a content creator of any kind, you need to check out Motion Array. My name is Paul, filmmaker and YouTuber, and I've been using Motion Array that has helped me produce a lot of content.
To be more second to use as rework, and it stays here, but it's not meant to. And no one's ever discovered how to actually do all that magic over all that time. And so we close.
Guys, it's like climate change, dude. We gotta use fossil fuels to power all of society and destroy the planet.
This sequence sucks.
What?
And we're starting off with a game that I guarantee the vast majority of you forgot even came out, Immortals of Avium. EA's new IP, an actual single-player game from the people who claimed single-player games were dead. And it sucked absolute ass. You're probably going to hear me say this a few times during this video, but I can't describe this game as anything other than goy slop. This is generic, safe garbage for the masses. Despite being an FPS about magic, the magic is quite literally just guns. Red magic is a shotgun, green magic is a submachine gun, and blue magic is a rifle. And that's pretty much all you get. There's slight variations on those concepts, but it's basically just the same 3 guns you're using. The only thing you do to spice up the gameplay is they give you some special abilities like shooting a bunch of missiles, but it's nothing even slightly creative. This is magic in name only. They're guns, dude. Well, what about the story and the characters? Well, yeah, that's dog shit too, without a doubt. All you gotta do is look at these fucking character designs and you can guess exactly what the dialogue's like. And the story is another generic climate change metaphor. Oh, using up magic kills the planet like fossil fuels. The only slight twist on it is humans inadvertently killed off the race that heals magic in the world, and they're these purple alien dudes who act black.
You've been to the Shrouded Realm again.
And of course the villain is a straight white male, your team is a diversity squad, one of your buddies being the ugliest and second most absurd Abby lookalike I've ever seen in a modern game, with the only one worse than this being Marisa from Street Fighter VI. And Street Fighter isn't exactly supposed to be realistic. It's bad enough that every Western video game is filled with ugly women. Do they have to be stronger than the men, too? And look, I'll admit, there were a few games I played worse than this year, but I feel like it deserves this spot for being just generic woke slop, supposedly written by Michael Kirkbride of Elder Scrolls fame. Yeah, the guy who wrote the batshit crazy parts of the Elder Scrolls lore wrote this. And of course, probably the most important reason I included this, because I streamed it for 12 hours and 40 minutes straight, from beginning to end. Truly one of my most legendarily painful streams. Fuck this game and fuck EA. Come on. Come on. Don't do that. Please. I can't handle cringe. Oh my god, no. I can't wait to tell my brother that he shares the name with an Indian who got a hole blasted through his chest that we're supposed to care about for some reason.
Oh, I want to see that. You know, sea lion? We're like 25 miles per hour.
I want to see the sea lion. Do you know that sea lion?
Are you fucking joking? Oh yeah, I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this one. You knew there had to be a Sony game on the list every time one comes out. And what better choice than Spider-Man 2? Now, of course, I have to give the disclaimer. No, this is not actually the 4th worst game I played this year, but if you've been watching these best to worst games lists, you know that a game pissing me off and being disgustingly repulsive is just as important as how fun the game itself is. And it's not like Spider-Man 2 improved on the first one, gameplay-wise, like at all. No, it plays almost exactly the same. But really, my issue with this is not the gameplay. I think the gameplay is decently fun, but you already know, especially when it comes to these fucking Sony movie games, that sometimes the gameplay isn't the most important thing, especially when you're not playing the game the majority of the fucking time. This game's story was awful. It was a clusterfuck. I feel like the devs had no idea what they actually wanted to do with it. Between having 2 protagonists, Miles Morales clearly being the replacement for Spider-Man, hell, Insomniac even admitted that he's the main Spider-Man like a week after my review came out. And in Sony movie game fashion, there's plenty of walking simulator segments, and then there's the Mary Jane levels, which are all god-awful. And Mary Jane herself, look at her! She's one of the ugliest females I've seen in any video game. It's insane. People trying to say that she looks normal or average, no, she's hideous! That's a man, dude! Then, of course, there's the mini-games and the brain-dead puzzles. Oh, and who could forget some of the worst side quests in gaming history? Like helping a gay kid ask his boyfriend out to prom, or playing his Miles' deaf girlfriend spraying graffiti on walls. Or how about solving a series of life puzzles to be reminded how important BIPOC artists are to culture, or whatever the hell that fucking bullshit was supposed to be. And then maybe, just maybe, in between all of that, you'll get to play as Spider-Man for a little while. Now, of course, it is a sandbox game, so if you stop doing the story and do some side quests, you might actually have a pretty good time. But every time you do the story, it's just fucking painful. I don't want to go through it again. Even if you put aside all the woke stuff, it's just not that well written. It could have been a good game. I actually liked the first one. I have to repeat, I liked the first Insomniac Spider-Man game, but they fucked up this one. If you want to play a fun Spider-Man game, there's plenty of them out there. Play the original Spider-Man 2. Play Web of Shadows. Play Shattered Dimensions. Any one of those is better than this shit.
What if the city need me? And that's you.
And I promise you.
Do it. End our suffering. Do I get a Far Cry style ending? Where I can be like, fuck you, bitch, and then she blows my head off. That'd be excellent. She killed Luminous Studio with her freaking mind! Forspoken, a game so bad that it was almost good, actually. In a weird way, I feel bad putting this above Spider-Man 2, because I think I actually enjoyed this game more. But let's be real, this game sucks ass. If you've somehow forgotten what Forspoken is, it's essentially a westernized magical girl isekai anime. But of course in an ugly, realistic art style because it's a modern AAA game. Written by Americans, but developed by Square Enix. And because Square Enix wanted some of that sweet, sweet ESG money, our main character Frey is modeled by Ella Balinska, who parkours through the air and slings magic spells with the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. And weirdly enough, this is another game on this list where the gameplay is the most redeeming element. Now, it's not good, but it is slightly enjoyable the further you get into the game. You get more elemental magic abilities, there's cool effects all over the screen that are at least nice to look at because the gameplay feels a little janky. It's like an auto-dodge type game. So I will say it's another shitty open-world game with a bunch of repetitive sandbox activities that you have to do over and over again, that if you cut out of the game, the story would only be 6 hours long. But other than that, the gameplay is passable, I'll say that. Now, this is yet another game where all the terrible elements are anything that's not the main gameplay. It's amazing that this shit cost $100 million to make when it really doesn't show. The character models really don't look that good. Ella Balinska is an attractive woman, I'll say it, but they clearly butchered her model. And don't even get me started on the story. I think everyone is talking shit about this story. It is one of the most unintentionally racist video games I think I've ever played. Your black female protagonist has committed larceny and been arrested several times, lives in a rundown apartment that looks like dog shit, except for the shelf for all of her sneakers. She owes a gang a bunch of money. She's named after a fucking bridge. Her black father is nowhere to be seen at any point in the game, and her mother is wiped out. And she's so fucking stupid that instead of grabbing all the money she stole, she grabs her cat first, who's in a different room when her apartment burnt down. And I think it just goes down or not. The dialogue is infamously bad. I mean, you can play any number of clips from this game, and between all this, there's strange tonal whiplash moments. Like the little girl that gets killed near the beginning of the game. I didn't see that shit coming. I don't know, this game is just the king of cringe. The biggest redeeming quality out of it is Cup. I would have never guessed this, but he turns out to be the villain of the game, right? Which, basically, everything he says is objectively correct. Most relatable villain, 2023, am I right? So I was on his team immediately, and of course, just let Frey die as soon as the boss battle started. She deserved it. No, this golden god, this 5-star man, Susurrus over here, he's the bad guy, even though all these evil bitches killed like his entire race or some shit. How is this guy not the hero? Every time with these left-wing writers, they accidentally write heroes as their antagonists. They have more relatable motivations, and oftentimes are making the morally correct decision. Even if they are evil, they're usually more likable than the protagonist. And this was one of many cases I've seen now. And so, in a weird way, I almost don't think this game belongs here, because I actually ironically enjoyed it quite a bit. But, well, at the end of the day, it is a bad game, and I wouldn't recommend it to any normal person, that's for sure. He is the hero. He's the hero. He's my hero.
Thank you.
Don't mention it. All of those ones.
Yeah. Yeah. The queens. The queens. Queens. Whoa. I love how I'm the goofy. It's supposed to be like friends you met along the way. But because Frey has no friends, it's the queens that we killed throughout the game help her win. What the fuck you? That is so bad. Yeah, well, we'll try to do It's just boring. Oh yeah, you know what's going on. This is one of those games where I already knew it was of course, people want to see me play a bad game, and Big Shot was a bad game. I really wish I had more to say about it, but let's be honest here, all the reason why this game plays well like it's buggy, it runs like shit, it's a PS2 game. Nobody has 100 Lord of the Rings fans like video game adaptation they want to see. You think a second fucking person would say, I want a video game about Gollum? Really? And of course, the gameplay just sucks. It's a hybrid you see in every Sony game. So the only thing that requires any skill is the stealth, and fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, you can just straight run past a lot of doors. So there's basically nothing appealing about this game whatsoever. In a weird way, I can honestly excuse half of these problems if it wasn't so boring. But yeah, it's another one of those games that's just boring as hell, but instead of watching hours of cutscenes, everything about the game is boring except for the bugs. And so I was purposely trying to find funny shit to keep going, but even then, I can only tolerate this about 3 hours before I had to quit. So it more than deserves its spot on this list. Maybe I don't want it. In fact, the game about a bit like lava animation or something. Now, before we get to number one, there are a couple of dishonorable mentions. First off, we got Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, aka Far Cry 7. Man, I really wanted to make a review of this game because my Far Cry 6 review is still the most viewed video on my channel, not including a YouTube short that blew up out of nowhere. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It was so unbelievably boring. I know that shouldn't be too shocking. I mean, it's an Avatar game where you're forced to play as the giant blue cats killing the humans. So I'm just vehemently against that conceptually. Even the old Avatar game that was also made by Ubisoft, back when the first movie came out, let you side with the humans and kill the blue cats. Yes, it was a bad ending, but at least you had player choice. In this game, there's like no fucking enemies anywhere. So despite using the pretty solid Far Cry gameplay loop, you're not even playing the fucking game 90% of the time. You're wandering around a giant, admittedly beautiful landscape, but there's like nothing in it. And it plays like every other fucking Far Cry or Ubisoft sandbox, whatever. You've already played this game before. The only reason you could possibly want to touch this is to play the video game version of the movie. Just fucking watch the movies again if you like the movies. Don't touch this shit. And then my other dishonorable mention, I had to put on here, even though I only played it for 30 minutes, Goodbye Volcano High. This is an infamously bad game, at least for those of you who are actually aware of its existence. What's funny is, it's not even really that interesting to actually talk about. I mean, it's some cringy Tumblrina, scaly dinosaur visual novel about high schoolers in a band. You can pretty much guess the type of content you're going to see based on that. The only reason I even felt like this game was worth mentioning is because it was announced years and years ago, and some random port tanners decided to make a game better in every single fucking way, and released for free like 2 years before this game had come out. So, if anything, you should check out the Snoop game if you're interested in type of shit. And ignore this close Turns out there's one more dishonorable mention, as I was highly encouraged to play the Rise of Kong video game that I think basically everybody shit on already, how bad it is. I did play it. Yes, it's as bad as everything you've heard. I mean, just look at the game. This is actually worse than Gollum. The only reason it didn't make the list is because, well, I think it's just too obviously shovelware. I didn't want to have 2 shovelware entries in the top 5. And I'd rather pick Gollum, because at least Gollum has that's all I got to I'll kill you all. I'll kill you all. They took it away from me. I can't have anything. Let's be honest, are any of you even the least bit surprised? If you've watched any of my other best and worst games lists, you know the worst game of the year is always the one that represents the downfall of the video game industry. And I can't think of a better game choice than Star Wars. I ranted about this game for an hour and 23 minutes, and I cut out plenty of stuff to complain about. I don't even know what to begin talking about this game again. There's just so much obviously wrong with it that it shows you that every...
When Microsoft unveiled their very first take at a console back in 2001, they also released their first main exclusive game to launch with it. That very game took the world by storm. Halo Combat Evolved, a futuristic first-person shooter where you travel the galaxy defeating aliens known as the Covenant. This game also spawned one of the most recognizable faces in games, Master Chief. He and the franchise ran things on the Xbox single-handedly for the entirety of the OG Xbox lifetime. But when the Xbox 360 came out, Master Chief would have a new running mate as one of the many faces of Xbox. Insert Marcus Phoenix, the main protagonist of Gears of War. a third-person shooter game that takes place on a world infested with underground monsters known as the Locusts. Following the success of both Halo 1 and Halo 2, Microsoft was looking for another IP to join the Xbox family. Microsoft thought it fit to bring in a flourishing Epic Games team that was working on a new third-person shooter game. Seeing as that the Xbox 360 was a huge success, it didn't have too many exclusive games on it. So in November of 2006, Gears of War was born. Gears of War was the first ever game to outsell Halo on the Xbox, which was unheard of at the time, because Halo was the biggest franchise on Earth. For almost a full year, they held the reach to the most recurring players. Of course, the reason they wanted to was because Halo 3 dropped in September of 2007. But this didn't stop the growth of popularity of the game. The story takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where Mark Phoenix and his best friend Dominic Santiago are on a mission to knock out the funnels of the ever-more growing Locust Horde. The first ever trailer for the game encapsulated the lonely and dark atmosphere of the game with its visuals and the condescending tone of the song Mad World by Gary Jules and Michael Jackson. Which in turn got players to play the game for the story. The surprisingly good set of players to stay was the originally, Gears of War was the best game taken working on the landscape aspect of the game. They only had one left for the game so they were just instead of making a map where there are many rooms to walk through, they made a map that was not covered with all around, allowing the player mobility and angle to shoot power weapons to scatter over the map, give players room to move around and not just sit still. Their decision to keep the multiplayer integrated into the game paid off. The many players look to pay attention. Game modes like Team Deathmatch, Guardians, for most players. This is one of the very first metas of the game. That is still the meta to this day. The natural is the go-to weapon when dealing in close-range situations. Players utilize wall bouncing and faster movement in order to gain a direct hand on their opponent. And if you were daring enough to walk up to your opponent with an axe, you could see him making for a very early time. One good example of the multiplayer platform was Greek Church, who boasts about the ability to make saying that we have never been any for this With its really founded popularity, many enjoyers of the game desired more. So in 2008, exactly 2 years after the OG game release, they dropped Gears of War 2. Players were not done with the franchise at all. Gears 2 picked up right where the last game left off in terms of both story and success. They also added a new game mode named Horde, a wave-based survival game mode where players work together to end off the world. The fanbase is growing larger and larger by the day. Many fans took the convention by playing a very years and popular sport, and the iconic landscape that was popularized through the franchise. Epic Games and Microsoft were able to cap off the trilogy with Gears of War 3 in 2011, marking an end to the main storyline and officially inserting the Gears of War franchise into gaming history. Life was good. Thousands of people were playing Gears of War. If you weren't playing online multiplayer, you were playing couch co-op with your best friend, your brother, your dad even. Lots of memories were made in the heyday of Gears of War. From 2006 to 2012, Gears of War was at its peak. So, what went wrong? In 2013, Gears of War Judgment. People were still wanting more Gears, even though the series had a well-rounded and satisfying ending. So Epic Games decided to take a different angle at the series and hire the help of a different studio, People Can Fly. The game was said to be a prequel of the series, taking place only 2 weeks after E-Day, and most importantly, it was going to be centered around Baird and Cole, the other two members of Delta Squad. So fans of the franchise were hyped to finally see Cole and Baird's story before they joined Delta, being that they were beloved characters that you only get to play as once in Gears of War 3. But when the game finally released in March of 2013, to everyone's dismay, it was a major failure. For starters, the game wasn't even lore accurate. The Lancer being in the game made no sense. Marcus Phoenix created the Lancer when the game suffered big breakups about 2 years after E-Day. But Baird and Cole got that done 2 weeks after E-Day. And don't get me started on Baird and Cole. Baird is supposed to be the leader of the squad, which is fine and dandy, but he might as well have been a completely different character, because he is nothing like his Gears 1 to 3 counterparts. Don't start for remarks. No showcasing of his engineering skills. Nothing like the Baird we all know and love. He's just a serious lieutenant with barely any lines and a couple quips thrown here and there. Cole, on the other hand, did a complete 180, going from the hype man of the team to a quiet, soulless character that doesn't even look like Cole. And how the hell did he get shorter over the years? The gravity on Sarah was different than that on Earth. The multiplayer was different, but not too bad. The main dislike was that there wasn't supposed to. It was just blue gears versus red gears, as well as the fact that there was no horde mode. There were a few good things that came from Gears Judgment. I had a former UIR soldier that joined the cause in order to defend our country. Many fans liked this character and hopefully he can name future installments of the series. Another positive feature is my personal favorite gun, the Creed Shot. Even if the most satisfying headshot, acting as both a close range and a long range weapon. And that and actually the best one of the Gears does. So be it. Need I say no? But overall, the game was a major disappointment. It marked the start of the unique series. In 2014, Microsoft decided to buy the rights to Gears of War from Epic Games and take matters into their own hands. They tasked the studio with coalition with the franchise, starting off with a Gears of War 1 remake. Almost 10 years after the original came out, they released Gears of War Ultimate Edition, a touched up and refined version of the 2002 series. They even added an original exclusive mission to the base game. Again, fans were hyped to be able to replay what many considered the best of the trilogy, but this time with the graphics and a modernized system. The reaction to the game was actually not bad. Fans were very pleased to be able to play their favorite childhood game, nicely. The issue lies it was nothing like the multiplayer of the original game, which made sense being that the OG game's mechanics were pretty outdated and needed some fixing. However, a lot of gamers liked the OG gameplay over the remaster, and in turn they didn't resonate with the multiplayer like how they did in Gears of War.
Nope, all makes sense. Ultimate is much worse than OG Gears of War.
Little people know that Ultimate Edition released the beginning of the title. Only a year later, in 2016, we released Gears of War 4. Many Gears fans were confused with the fact that they were continuing the story, even though it had been wrapped up with the Gears. But it was welcome nonetheless. People were trying to see more Gears content. Gears of War 4 was centered around Marcus Phoenix's son, Jason. The story takes place 25 years after the ending of Gears 3. Marcus is Baird has a robot company and Ball, Cole Train is still Cole Train.
Who loves Marcus? Wow!
The mistake that Gears of War 4 makes is that they play They Never Die on the locusts apparently never died. They were just cooking it up and metamorphosizing into what we now know as not a full version of the locust force. One thing that Gears 4 had up its sleeve was the visual. Finding honest, the game was quite cool. The character design was solid, and the driving was all right in front. The prettiness of the game alone actually attracted new fans to the series. But this very feature also scared away many of the loyal fans to the series. This was not Gears 4. Gears 4 was known for being that dark and gritty game. A game that wasn't really a horror game, but could still be scary. Argument quite the environment. The very first trailer for the game alone showcased what kind of game Gears of War was supposed to be. Talk that changed with the fact that you weren't even finding the locusts anymore. You might as well have not even called the game Gears of War. They were just taking aspects from the original series and twisting it and bending it in ways that in turn lost the game's identity. The game didn't have the same retention as the original 3. The horde mode wasn't the same with the new enemies. The campaign was interesting enough to feel like an uninspired version of the original. Multiplayer lobbies weren't as stacked as they were with Gears 3. Things were a must.
Let's see.
Fast forward to 2019, Gears 5. Fans were pissed that it was called Gears 5 and not Gears of War 5. Yes, everyone pretty much called the game Gears 2 or Gears Judge, but at this point it was just about principle. The whole government name of the game should be present in all iterations. But that was just the start. Some fans had issue with the fact that they were shifting from JD Phoenix to KP as the face of the new game, saying that they were making a her story and trying to drive the girl power narrative. All that was fine so long as we got to see and play as our beloved character Marcus Phoenix. Wait, what's this? He's barely even in the game? You mean to tell me the main character and overall face of the franchise has such a small and useless role to play in this game? Surely they won't try to force his son to become a hardened, half-baked, badass version of himself. Ah yes, give him a beard, a scar, a robot arm, and make him an asshole. This is peak character development at its finest. The story of Gears 5 was actually pretty good. The idea of Kate actually being the next queen of the Locusts is a fire concept, and they showcased that aspect very well. But something they were trying to force into this game was an open world. And oh my god was it terrible. You were essentially just driving around in this vehicle called the Skid in an open and empty land for the most part. Gears fans going from a linear story-driven experience to a half-assed open world experience was not pleasant. Though horde mode and multiplayer was improved in this game, it wasn't enough. They even added an entirely new game mode called Hive Buster, and as you may have guessed, it was a bust. Gears 5 was the nail in the coffin. I'm not even going to talk about Gears Tactics because it has its own niche and dedicated fan base. And don't even get me started on Gears Pop. The last major update to Gears 5 happened in January of 2022. Since then, if you boot up the multiplayer, you will have either bot lobbies or nothing but Mexicans playing with you because for some reason, just like Dragon Ball, Gears of War is still popping over there. That's probably why I'm such a big fan of it. And as time goes on, with this being the longest hiatus to start a new Gears game ever, the fanbase continues to lose hope for there ever being a return to fame from their beloved franchise. All they could do is accept that the game is officially dead and move on to other titles that still get love. It may very well be the end for Gears of War. That is, unless Microsoft continues to do the unthinkable. This year may very well be their year. Gears of War 6 has been the focal point of many members of Gears of War that may be dropping. There have been whispers of the multi-platter Gears of War market showcasing remasters of all the Gears games from 1 all the way to possibly Gears 2. Not just that, but the Gears of War live action cartoon series is still in development and Netflix with possibilities of dropping this year alongside the Gears and the collection. There may be just this franchise revival after all. It's been a long time coming, my friends, but this is the first time that there are brighter and better days to come for our beloved childhood game series. lot of one of the best videos for all. You best believe I'm making a comeback. That's right, more lore videos coming soon, parts of videos, you name it, it's all here. Here's to a great and successful 2024. Let me know what you guys think of the state of the Gears of War franchise. Making a comeback this year, but will it take some time? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe today and leave more. Savage Dabble out.
What?
What now? Stay back! I'm warning you!
Let your video stand out. Go to motorrate.com.
years long. By comparison, the revenue of the global music industry is now at $91 billion. The global film industry was valued at $41.7 billion, which means that the market for video games was 2.5 times larger in 2020 than music and cinema put together. In 2020, Animal Crossing derived $2 billion in revenue. Animal Crossing was worth a little over 1/10 of the entirety of music. The global games market showed the projected revenue of $187 billion, a substantial increase even in pandemic years when everyone was inside the game. In 2023, games industry.biz reported that supply issues in British hardware had stabilized, and that video game hardware sales had increased by a whopping 32% in comparison to just 2005. The video games industry of nearly 12% in 2023 and projects an annual revenue growth rate of nearly 10% each years between 2023 and 2027. In light of all of these optimistic reports of the video games industry, why now are we seeing so many layoffs in game Gamesindustry.biz reports that over 80 gaming companies and game-related media sites have been hit with substantial layoffs recently, including industry, Audio, BioWare, CD Projekt Red, and Racer Group, Ubisoft, to EA, NetEase, and Riot. We saw Unity developers of Unity Game Engine, we saw Publishing Readers video games layoffs estimates of the industry estimated 7,000 employees as of November 16, 2023. The entire industry looks like it's on the brink of collapse. But why? Why is this happening? If the market for video games is better than ever, if the demand is greater than ever before, then why does it seem like the video games industry is collapsing? Shouldn't it be thriving? Isn't this basic market economics? Understanding what's really going on here requires putting together many separate pieces of a much larger puzzle. Is the video games industry collapsing? Well, no, at least not all of it is. For most of the industry, the layoffs, the closures, the failures, these are by design. A reflection, a new way of doing business. But first, the nature of the video games industry has become a little space. Today's sponsor, Star Trek, is a free-to-play, 4X open world explore the game's immersive star space, ogle at the incredible graphics, and engage in epic battles with players all over the world, and step into the shoes of your favorite build your favorite Star Trek ships like the USS Enterprise or the thriving for a real career and command your own star-based target and space this new experience activating Star Trek Fleet Command using the link in my description provided to you on hoping it was a site of therefore the Star Trek Fleet Command store to access the discovery finally lets you in this book access explore strange people, seeking new life, new civilization, and boldly go where no man has gone before in Star Trek. A very special Star Trek sponsoring this video. If you take a close look at the CEOs of many of your favorite video games, you may notice something. A lot of video game CEOs are emulating in their presentation and their choice of language the characteristics of successful CEOs in the wider tech industry. But everyone's doing it right, everyone wants to prove success after all, tech is success is. Right, you got me there, so dark hair. But not every industry is like the technical Again, social manipulation to push that process. It also makes it feel like a talent instead of business financial. A talent you have it all right now will be able to make this do you emulate the guy who sells phones, the guy who sells food? Which means naturally, jobs, and you beat
It works perfectly. It works really, really well.
And one of the great things about having a fully dynamic game engine is all of this just works. I'm not kidding.
Extrapolate this out now one step further. If you are corporate leadership, which keep in mind often involves far more than just a single person in the CEO, and you want to emulate the governance of a successful company, which company do you choose to emulate?